Hello and welcome to another episode of Cryptane Weekly. Today is June 10th and I'm coming at you with the pre-E3 news. Oh yes, and there is aplenty. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode. Today is one of my favorite weeks, but not my most favorite. My most favorite week is going to be next week when E3 is going to hit us. It's going to hit us hard. It's going to be a lot of action. If you're a gamer, if you're into games, if you love games, there's just some little inkling where you're like, I need my games. Then you're at the right place, for one thing. Do I have auto jump on? What the? Okay, that's weird. I gotta switch that. Controls. Turn that off. Whew, that was, useful for someone, I'm sure. Anyways, we got a lot to talk about. A lot of news is trickling out before E3. A lot of rumors, a lot of leaks. Oh, it's just crazy, and the next week's going to be even crazier. So I'm here to help you get started. If you're not familiar with E3, then you definitely might want to start, because if you love games, like I said, this is the place where all the biggest news generally comes out. It is a haven for us gamers. Anyways, the first thing to start off here is a couple podcasts. These are some good things to listen to. One is Kotaku. The other one is The Lobby. There are plenty more. Maybe I'll get them into them another time. But these ones are covering a lot lately, or they just started to. They cover and are going to cover a lot of pre-E3 stuff. So they're going to go over the rumors with you. What they expect, what they might think is going to come out, whatever you might want to anticipate, kind of help you through the ropes there. So The Lobby is GameSpot, headed by Danny O'Dwyer, and he is a very charismatic boy. Really good show. I highly recommend it. And Kotaku, Jason Schreier, I think, and Kirk Hamilton, I think, are the names. I'm not 100% sure. Of Kotaku fame, and they're also going over that stuff right now. So definitely check those out if you're interested. They're pretty good shows. I listen to them every week, so maybe you might want to too. Woo! Anyways, first up is I got a couple lists here from Kotaku for E3 promises. So these are they're a listing of everything that, in this case, I have Sony and Microsoft. They probably have one by now posted for Nintendo and possibly a couple other conferences, but definitely the big ones for sure. These are the ones that I'm most interested in anyways. And what they do is they go over everything that Microsoft promised, is that, hey, this is going to come out this year or next year, whatever, well, generally this year. Anything that's this year, because if they promise it for later, it won't really apply. And you'll be able to tell, and they kind of go over like, oh, they met these promises. Oh, that's grass. So obviously I can't cut that out. So they're going to go over all the promises, whether they met them, if they expect them to meet them, or if they've been delayed, or whatever the case may be. So that's pretty cool. You can kind of see how good those two companies are at keeping their promises and their track record. So, if you're interested, those are pretty cool to give a quick read. Next up, if you're unfamiliar, is all these companies, and there are 7. You have Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo. I believe a couple of the big companies do it too. So you have Bethesda, Ubisoft, EA. I don't think Activision does it. There's the PC Gamer Show too. They have a conference. Anyways, there's a whole bunch of conferences, and at these conferences, they talk about what they're going to release the coming fall and the next year. A lot of big hitters are going to be shown at these things. But I have a schedule here. If you're interested in watching these live or later, you will be able to catch these on YouTube and whatnot, and I'll talk about that a little later. But if you're interested in watching these, I have a schedule of when they're all going to be out, and you'll be able to follow along and get that exciting news fresh like everybody else. because whether you're there or you're just watching online, you're going to get it at the same time, which is pretty great. It's a cool thing to have all this news come out and like everybody kind of experience it together, which is awesome. So it's a little schedule for the press conferences. I believe Square Enix has already had theirs. They had it yesterday or the day before on Wednesday. Okay. And yeah, so I'll talk a little bit more of that in a second, though. Anyways, so what you can do is, so I got a couple channels here. I got not channels. I got a link to GameSpot and Giant Bomb. These are my two favorites. These are the ones that I watch every year. If you like IGN, there might be a couple others too. I believe maybe even the companies themselves might have their own channel set up to stream this stuff. But I've always found GameSpot to be very reliable and very concise. It keeps all the conferences in one place for your viewing pleasure. And Giant Bomb, what they do is something a little unique as far as I'm concerned. What they do is they talk over the conferences, which is cool. So if you're familiar with the Giant Bomb crew, they're a very charismatic bunch, headed by Jeff Gerstmann, who's been in the industry for, I don't know, he's basically like ancient. He's only like 34 or whatever, though. And he's very knowledgeable at the games. They all are, actually. And they talk over the games and like their thoughts about everything and what they think of the games that are coming out and the conferences and everything. So I would definitely give that a watch. I tend to watch. I have my system is I tend to have both streams going at the same time. I mute one. Generally, I let the Giant Bomb crew talk, and then when they announce a new video or when they put on a new trailer, because they do that a lot in the conferences, I'll silence or I'll pause the Giant Bomb crew, let that video play, and then go back to the Giant Bomb crew to see what they're saying. So that way, I can kind of get like a live, nice big picture of what's going on. It's pretty cool. For me, it's how I do it anyways. So I find that to be a good way to catch everything. But yeah, so I have a link to GameSpot. I don't think they have anything out, but generally right before the conferences and on their website, they'll have links very readily available of where to go see all those. They had the reminder set for on YouTube already, so they have them all. It's all set up and ready to go. So yeah. So next up is I got PC Gamer. They have a whole bunch of predictions that they were kind of going over, what to expect. So, you can check that out if you're interested to see what they think is coming out. The podcast, like I said before, they go over the same stuff too, what their predictions and whatnot are. But this is just a written list if you just want to quickly skim. There's also another one that GameSpot did of most anticipated games of E3. So check that out if that floats your boat. So now we're going to get into some leaks and what's already been showed too. So whether you may or may not have known, Watch Dogs 2 has been announced. If you're familiar with the first one, it was really great. Well, not great necessarily, but it was a really high-grossing new IP, biggest selling new IP ever, I think. Ubisoft announced, but it fell a little flat gameplay-wise and whatnot. And perhaps some of that was that they had that game come out on our current gen and last gen too, right? So potentially limited anyways, by last gen technology. This is not the case this time, which is great. But we're finally getting a sequel set in L.A., San Francisco, I think. And, San Francisco, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Somewhere in California, I'm not 100% sure. Basically the tech hub of the world. And it looks like they're addressing a lot of the concerns of the first game. I think they're going to deal with a lot of the gentrification that's going on in San Francisco right now. And hopefully the new lead will be a little bit more charismatic. But they're saying they're addressing the cars were apparently really bad, so they're addressing that. So it was a great idea, the first one, but they just didn't execute it particularly well necessarily. But hopefully they did. And what I have a link here is a link to a stream and a breakdown that the lobby crew kind of go over the whole stream. So there's the stream, which is like 40 minutes or whatever, and then the lobby is another 40 minutes. If you're really into it, I mean, you can definitely take your time and you can kind of peruse everything that game is about. So if you're interested, I definitely give that a look for sure. Next up is Square Enix. They had at their conference Deus Ex, Mankind Divided. And this is the newest Deus Ex game. It's a sequel to the first Deus Ex. I'm not 100% sure what that one was called, though. Yeah. Well, anyways, Deus Ex. It's got Jensen again, and I believe that one was also on last gen. This time it's not, so it's not limited yet again. And they've really addressed concerns about, like, Deus Ex is all about freedom of choice. Do you want to do it stealthy? Do you want to hack your way in? Do you want to just brute force your way in? Or a combination of all these ways. It looks like they're really allowing you to kind of get your footing and do things in a lot of different ways. And due to the power of having only next gen, they can have really good AI algorithms, so the cities will be a lot more livelier and interactable that they wouldn't have been able to do before. They got a stream that they did, which is pretty cool. What they do is they kind of go over the main one, but then what they do is they kind of shrink it a little bit, and they show two more videos to the side. So it's like, so let's say this is your widescreen, or actually this is your widescreen. You know what? So your widescreen is these 6 blocks. It would have, like, the main video would be these 4 blocks, and then these two would each have their own little video, this one and this one. And he'd be talking about this one, but then he'd go on like, oh, you could hack your way in, you could stealth your way in, and then whatever he chose to do for the main path he's doing. So it really gives you a sense of, like, wow, you can really go about doing a lot of different ways to go about this game. It looks like it's going to be a huge game. Like I said, love the first one of that particular series of the revamp, and this new one looks fantastic as well. Some leaks, though, is I think Dead Rising 4 was leaked. I mean, to be expected, I guess. I mean, why not? Dead Rising 3 was a solid game. Came out right away with the new Xbox One, so it looks like Capcom's getting cracking to come out with a new one this fall, which is great. But who knows? It's going to be announced, presumably. I don't want to make any promises, because you never know with these. Sometimes things don't go through. But let's talk about a little bit more about what we might think is going to come out, shall we? So it looks like Xbox is going to talk about a new slim console, and possibly like a streaming stick that's like Xbox One, Windows 10 kind of thing. But who knows? But those are the rumors. They also have their Scorpio console, which is supposed to be like 4 times more powerful than the current Xbox One. Probably, if they do have that in the works, they probably won't announce that until next E3, though. So I wouldn't worry too much about that, because they wouldn't want to, screw up their sales of the current console. In that case, also, let's see. So they got Dead Rising 4 that they're probably going to announce. You might get to see Crackdown. Great. Crackdown 1 was fantastic. Crackdown 2 was a little bit of a letdown, but now we got the new next gen Crackdown, so that's cool. So that might give it a little fresh take. Plus, way back a few 2 E3s ago or something like that, they had this whole multiplayer thing where they were using the cloud. I'm doing air quotes, but essentially what it was, because you're doing a multiplayer game and you're connected to a server or whatever, it would do a lot of the It would do a lot of the computational power, so you could have these buildings collapse in really intricate ways, and then their servers would actually do that all, and it would just kind of, and then you would get like a very detailed destruction that you couldn't otherwise get on the console because it couldn't handle it, which is really cool. So hopefully we'll see more of that and that come to fruition. That'd be great to see that, because the power of the cloud possibly making games, making home consoles in a way like non-critical. I mean, presuming you had the internet and everything to keep up with the speeds. But that's a really interesting idea. So it'd be cool if they actually show more of that. And they might show another State of Decay. I really loved the first one. I think it was a fantastic game. It's all about it's like a zombie survival kind of game, where you kind of manage some people, and you can kind of go around town and you can kind of make these home bases, and there's a management, and there's like survival. A lot of depth to it though, and so hopefully they're coming out with a State of Decay 2, which will be a lot bigger of a game presumably, and also probably next gen only. In which case, hey, they can do a lot more with next gen. When you're managing a lot of systems, it makes it a lot easier to have that extra computational power. So good on them. If that's the case, who knows? Sony probably going to show more of The Last Guardian. I'm not really sure which Sony's going to show. Probably another God of War. Honestly, like I said, if you want to know more about the spoilers in a lot of these cases, you can definitely go to these podcasts and stuff that I linked. They're going to know a lot more than I do. Not to mention they probably have a list right in front of them, and I don't, because I didn't think ahead, and I got to get this out. And then Nintendo, originally they were like, we're only going to do Zelda, which is great. I mean, we love Zelda, and it's supposed to be like a huge open world Zelda, which is nice. But they're going to do a little Pokemon and stuff too now, and they'll have their little Treehouse videos, which are probably some of the best pre-done videos that they do. I really like those. And then I'm not really sure what else is going to be announced or anything, but I'm excited to see what they're going to have cooking. We're going to see. I mean, like EA might have some Battlefront news. They're going to talk about Mass Effect. Actually, now that I think about it, so Mass Effect Andromeda, that's a huge one. Everybody loves Mass Effect, so that's going to be a nice next gen game. It's a whole new section of the series. They're not going to use the old characters, which is nice, but it's in the same universe. And so that's good. EA is very upfront about that stuff. And then Ubisoft, I think they're going to show more of like the Ghost Recon game, Wildlands. For Honor, I think they might show in more detail this time. And I'm not really sure. Maybe a new Splinter Cell or something. We'll see. I need more torches. I don't know. I'll get some later. But yeah, so anyways, so if you're interested in all that, check that out. And next week, I don't know. I'll try to pack this all into a 20-minute episode for you of everything that did come out that I found interesting. Usually most of the big stuff, blockbusters, whatever. Maybe some small stuff, who knows. But yeah, so look forward to that. And now on to a little bit of what I'm doing in Minecraft. So yeah, I know I haven't been doing that much. I got this kind of cleared out, little pathway, as you can see. It's pretty predictable what I'm going to do. But you're like, what am I going to use the room for? Right? So I got my storage, I got my animals, and my farm. But what I want to do is I want to have a farm. Well, it is a farm. I want to get an animal separator. I'm going to probably have to devote a whole room to it, where I want to have like the cows kind of like bobbing up on the water, whereas because the babies are usually a little bit smaller, so they can fit through certain blocks that the adults can't. And what I want to do is I want to have like this whole row where I can just kind of run along. I might have to make this 2 levels high, because all these rooms I can make rooms below them or whatever. I might have to make this one extra big, where I'll be able to feed cows, and then when they have their babies, they kind of go off into a new room to a little stream, and the pigs, they can go off to the little stream. And I want them all to converge, and same with chickens, and maybe what other animals I end up getting. And they're all going to go over here, and then when I can come back later, and then they can grow to adulthood, I can do a little dispenser with lava or whatever, quickly cook them, set them on fire, cook them, turn off the lava, and then get me some cooked meat. But also I'll get a whole bunch of leather from the cows, and chickens I'll get a whole bunch of feathers. Because, I don't know, book and quills, maybe arrows, I don't know. But the cooked meat especially is going to be important, because this bread is nice, but pork and cow, what the hell is cow meat? I don't even know. Beef? Whew, that's just on me. I was having a moment. Whatever. But they have they give you 4 haunches down there, and they're really saturated too. Probably some of the better foods. But anyways, thanks for watching. I hope you're as excited as I am for E3. And there's my bed. Check me out next week, and I'll have all the news for you. All right, peace out.